Hello everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another episode from NotAnalog.com. Today I'm looking at two super heavyweights in the Android world now, the HTC One M8 and the Samsung Galaxy S5. Now, I've been testing both of these for as long as I could before I thought would be the right time to give you this review. And let's go at them head to head real quickly. I'm going to start with the S5. Now, the S5, let's do pros and cons. One of the biggest pros of the S5 over the HTC One is water resistance. That's a really nice thing to have, especially for people who've had to get a new phone, or maybe you're watching this video because you're getting a new phone because your last one was destroyed by water. That's where this comes into play. Very great. However, one thing to remember though is that it doesn't mean that if you put it in the beach or where there's salt water that it won't have any future issues. So with clean water, no problem, because clean water is something which won't impact the steel or rust or anything like that. Salt water, however, will destroy the phone and corrode it eventually. So yes, the phone will keep running, but unless you wash it and clean it properly, it's going to get destroyed. Now obviously, actually keeping this thing water resistant is something you need to do yourself. There is a flap at the back where you charge, and every morning or every afternoon when you take it off charge, if that's not closed and sealed properly, you are very much at risk of losing this thing to water damage anyway. If you open and take off the back case a lot to change micro SD cards and things like that, again, you could be at risk because it's all pretty nicely sealed underneath this case, but once you open up that seal, you crack a bottle, right? Okay, it's got a heart rate sensor on the back. Now, it's nice to have. It's quite inconsistent though. If you do multiple tests in a row, your heart rate might go from 70 beats per minute to 100, and you know that you're not varying that much if you're relaxed. Also, you have to question its usefulness. Why do I need to know my heart rate at any given time? How often am I doing that, especially when it's not a consistent result anyway? So that's something to bear in mind. The interface on the S5 is a lot more user-friendly than it was on the S4, and I'll say that straight away, that Android is something that does sometimes scare people because of, again, how open it is, how many choices you have. That can be a scary thing, and they've made it a lot more user-friendly, which I appreciate. One thing, however, though, is that you've got Google producing Android and doing one thing, and then you've got Samsung doing their own bits and pieces as well. So let's go through what I mean. You have a gallery, but then you have a Photos app, and you don't know which one you're meant to use. Should I be using the Samsung gallery, or should I use the Android Photos section? Should I use Hangouts, or should I use Messages? And one of the other issues with the Messages app is that if you choose to use Hangouts, the Messages app on the actual dock cannot be moved, and that is insanely bad and frustrating because that home dock is where you want to be putting your favorite apps, and you can't modify that whatsoever. It's completely locked, which in the world of Android doesn't make a lot of sense to me. You've also got a Samsung App Store and a Google Play Store where you've got different apps in different areas. Again, these are things that confuse people, and when they're confused, they run away and they go get something like an iPhone. So something there. It has a fingerprint sensor over the home button, something we've seen before on the iPhone 5S. I usually have an iPhone 5S as my day-to-day driver, and the fingerprint sensor on that is amazing compared to this one. I did have this set to only unlock with my fingerprint. Going forward, I will be taking that off and not using it that way. I'll just swipe to unlock. I'm not that fussed. I can always wipe the device remotely if I have to, but I don't particularly like the sensor on this. You have to swipe down, and it takes you've got like a 30% to 40% success rate most of the time. If you're using the device one-handed, it's or even less. It's quite bad, and I'm used to using a device one-handed, so that was a problem for me. So besides that, it can be used for payments. So obviously it's got NFC, which we know about, but because you've got the fingerprint sensor, you can actually use it to authorize payments. Now, PayPal integration in this is very well done, and I was able to buy something through PayPal with the swipe of a finger, and all just by browsing the web. It does a really good job of integrating the two and bringing your security as well as your money to the forefront, and that was really impressive. That's nice. The screen on this phone is stunning. The screen on the S5 is absolutely beautiful, very bright. The colors are very good. The whites on this, very impressive, and I'll get to why in a second. I will say that because it has got such a beautiful screen for watching movies, it is a large screen, and if you are coming from an iPhone, you will notice the difference. That yes, it's amazing for viewing something, but when you are trying to navigate with one thumb, it's not quite possible. So there's something there. Now, it is light. It is a lighter phone than the HTC by quite a bit. You do notice it. With that said though, it's light because it's got a less premium feel. It's a lot more plasticky than the HTC. It's not quite as premium, and you do feel that, but is lighter. So you have to sort of weigh up the pros and cons there. The rear camera on this is very, very good. I really enjoyed using the rear camera on this. The front facing camera though, no good. It is really, really bad. For video, I used it for video. I've been doing some Vader, not very nice to use for that. And I have been using it to take photos, and the wide angle is not quite there. The good advantage that Samsung has here is their ecosystem that they're building in terms of products. So you can see I've got the Gear Fit and the Gear 2. They are something which you can't use on any other phone except for Samsung products. So if you're looking for that all-in-one sort of solution, that's going to really work. I've seen how these work with their Samsung TVs and things like that. Yeah, there's a real reason to buy into the Samsung ecosystem. I get that. So that's the S5. Now, HTC One this year has added in a microSD slot, so kudos to them for doing that straight away. Yes, the S5 has it, but it was something that was missing on the previous HTC One. Now straight away when you look at this, you can see this beautiful all-metal design. It is absolutely stunning and completely beautiful. You could leave this anywhere and it would just look so sexy in any situation. I do like it. As a result though, as I said, it's heavier. You do not have a removable back case, so you can't change the battery like you can on the S5. You can, however, still add in SIM card and microSD on the sides of them. So it's not a huge deal, but the battery is sealed in there. So pros and cons there, I guess. It's not water resistant, and you almost wonder why when you've only got two slots for the SIM tray and the SD slot, but you've got the open exposed charging socket. And again, if they sealed it up, they maybe would have achieved water resistance. Maybe, I don't want to pull that one out. So I mentioned the microSD. It's got dual cameras on the rear. Well, they use one of the cameras for depth and the other one for taking the image, and that's really good. I found that the rear camera shots that I got off this were so much better than the S5. I actually think that it's better on the new HTC One than almost the iPhone 5S. I'll probably say that. I'll probably go there and go that far. So I have really enjoyed the camera on this, especially for night photography. I noticed that the detail I've been getting in night shots is so great on this compared to any smartphone I've used in a very, very long time. So kudos to HTC there. Really good job. So because it does create this depth and it has got this ultra pixel technology, one of the issues that I do find is that it's only a smaller sized image. So if you are looking at printing billboards, don't use a camera for it, don't use a phone for it, probably go out and buy an SLR, just the same.
No matches found. Please say
I beg your pardon. So, I mentioned the dual cameras on the back. Front facing camera, very good, beautiful wide angle lens. In terms of taking selfies and getting more people into the picture, perfect. This is the camera for those beautiful group shot selfies. I really enjoyed that. The killer sound, 2 speakers at the front. Speakers on this thing, you want to watch a movie or video on this, it's really bad because the sound pops out the back here and it's quite tinny and really poor. This one, it's pointing at your face. You got boom sound right in your face, and that is very impressive, and the sound is very clear, very good. So again, on sound, it's a big winner. I love that. No physical navigation buttons. It's a completely smooth face. Some people have in the past had issues with the home button on their Galaxy S series phones. You won't have that with this. But as a result, it's added soft buttons at the bottom, which do take up screen real estate and do get annoying at times. So in this case, you've got more screen to play with. In this one, you've got a bit times less screen to play with when you want it. So, you know, it's so weird when you compare the two of what you really get when you look at it. The large screen, it is large. You really do notice it. Side by side though, the whites in this, they're not quite white. They're almost like a creamy colour. And I don't know if it will show properly in the video, but it's just not as good, and that was quite disappointing. Zoe is a feature on here that if you've spent the day taking photos, celebrating something, by the end of it, you can go home and you've got this beautiful video that you can just straight away upload to Facebook or YouTube or whatever you like, with music, and it edits and it does all this fancy stuff, and it makes what I did in one situation was make a pretty boring lunch, and it made it look like it was something special out of My Kitchen Rules or something like that. Really, really cool. I do like Zoe. I wasn't a fan of it before, but they've done a great job in fixing that up. So kudos on that one. It's got a dot view case. Now the dot view case is an accessory which I haven't seen on any other phone before. It essentially makes this little 8-bit sort of screen on the front of your phone, and it's really useful for protecting your phone as well as being able to still see the time, the weather, who's calling and things like that. I will say though that it does make the phone look quite ugly when you've got this beautiful casing on the back. Why would you ever want to hide that? So that's the two phones in a nutshell. It's a very quick run through of the features that I loved, the features that I didn't love. None of them are perfect. There's no perfect phone, there's no nirvana. But if I was buying one today, and I have to tell you, it would be the HTC. I just think that there's a lot of features which Samsung has packed into their phones, definitely more features than there is on the HTC, but for what I need the phone to do, the HTC would be my choice. I do love these accessories, but you see the one at the top, the Pebble. Pebble will work with anything, it doesn't mind. And I do still go back to my Pebble for things like that as well. So I do like the HTC One. Not saying the S5 is a bad phone, don't need to abuse me on the comments, but it's just my opinion. I like the premium feel, I like the camera on the back, and again the camera on the front is very good as well. On the inside they're both Android, and this one just seems to allow you to do more with it, which is really what Android's about. So that's it, that's all I'm going to do. S5 versus the M8, my winner is the M8. So overall, shop around, have a try. Don't discount the iPhone though. Now the hateful comments will start. See you guys, bye.